Next, let's talk about tone. Watch your tone, young man. Tone is an essential element in understanding theme, and yet determining tone can be tricky. This is the rhetorical triangle. More than 2,000 years ago, a Greek philosopher named Aristotle described the relationship between the author, the reader, and the text. Today, this is known as the rhetorical triangle. He identified ethos, logos, and pathos. But for our purposes, ethos refers to the author, logos to the story itself, and pathos to the reader. A sympathetic tone means that the reader's emotions will match the characters in the story. We feel empathy for them. But a satirical tone means that the reader's emotions do not match the characters. We have no empathy for them. However, in most stories, the tone is somewhere in between. It's more like a continuum with no empathy at one end, full empathy at the other, and most stories ending somewhere in the middle with some empathy, but not complete empathy. Satire is when the author creates an unsympathetic tone in which the reader has little to no empathy for the main character. Satire can be humorous, but its main purpose is to allow the reader to criticize moral flaws. This is Gulliver in one of his locations in which everything is really, really large. Gulliver's Travels is a famous satire. Irony. Irony involves something that is the opposite of an expectation. There are three kinds of irony: verbal, situational, and dramatic. Verbal irony involves the deliberate confusion of language, such as a pun. These puns are terrible. So you get the idea. Terrible sounds like they're really, really bad, but no, they're terrible. You can tear them off and bring them with you. Situational irony involves events that unfold the opposite of expectations. For example, in this comic strip, now let me get this straight. You claim we accidentally destroyed your fence, car, and house. Okay, but it also says here you had a 42-inch flat screen TV. Now, I'm not questioning your honesty, but no, it was a 47-inch TV. You get it? So we're expecting him to argue about the fact that he had the TV, but no, he just wants to confirm that it wasn't 42 inches. It was, in fact, 47 inches. So that creates a bit of humor because it's an opposite reaction from what we're expecting. Dramatic irony involves an audience or a reader that knows something that the characters don't. Madam, how would you like to sit behind the hat you are wearing? See, you get the idea. See, she's wearing this big, beautiful hat, and she probably thinks everybody just thinks how beautiful the hat is. But in fact, she's in a movie theater, and people they're just annoyed because they can't see past her hat. But she doesn't know that because they're behind them. So we as the audience see it, they know it, but the main character doesn't know it. How does tone affect theme? James the Great. St. James the Great was called the Great, not because he was great. He was just a fisherman, but because he was older than the other disciple named James. This confusion of language, however accidental, is an example of verbal irony, but it is clear that James struggled with tone. Matthew 9:54. Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did? Matthew 9:55 to 56. But he turned and rebuked them and said, Ye know not what manner of spirit ye are of. For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. James had the wrong manner of spirit, the wrong tone. Mark 10:37. They said unto him, Grant unto us that we may sit one on thy right hand and the other on thy left hand in thy glory. Again, Jesus corrects James for having the wrong spirit or tone. So, how should a follower of Christ speak and act? With humility. This is the theme of the story of James. After finally learning this lesson, James really did become great, and his impact upon the world was immeasurable. Imagine what you could do